Hey everyone, welcome to Marketing Monday with the Watertown Oswego Sbdc. I am Nicole, friend of the Watertown Sbdc, here with Liz, director of the Watertown, executive director.
Oh, no, just director.
Just
We don't, no
director.
promotions.
We're not
No,
executive here.
we're not we are in no way, shape, or form executive. And we're kind of relieved about that, actually.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. So every week, we go live and talk about marketing stuff. And, the SBDC does more than marketing. We're just here to say that. I don't know. I know, Liz, you guys got some stuff coming up in April, but do you want to tell people a little bit about the SBDC in case they're just tuning in here for the first time?
Absolutely. So the SBDC, we are funded by the federal and state governments, and we offer free and confidential business advice. We not only for startups, but also for if you're growing a business, if you want to purchase a business, if you want to sell a business, and if we can't help you, we have the hookup for you because we work with lenders, we work with the Center for Businesses in Transition, local economic development entities like IDAs, anything economic development. We're the person to come to. So come and see us first, and we can help you with all sorts of stuff.
Right. And we'll leave the email on the screen. You can also go to their website and schedule an appointment, but you guys have counselors that are ready to meet with people and get them hooked up with what they need. And if you can't do it in-house, like Liz says, she knows lots and lots of people. So don't be shy.
Yeah, that's right. And check out our YouTube page that's recently been organized beautifully by Ms. Nicole Willett.
I made playlists, guys.
I made
playlists.
It looks great. Yeah. Watertown Oswego Sbdc on YouTube. There is all of the Marketing Monday webcasts are on there. Some of our safety series is on there, and a bunch of stuff we did through the pandemic. But and yes, there's some maybe a few kernels that don't apply since things are. I'm not saying normal. Don't say normal.
Yeah.
Things are back-ish. But there's lots of classic business advice on there. So take a view, share them if you want. It's all it's all courtesy of our tax dollars.
Absolutely. And these are broadcast on YouTube and Facebook every Monday. So go back and you can check out the archives wherever you're seeing this now. So today's topic, we decided, the PR February went really well. So we're kind of doing SEO March here. And today's topic is all about getting backlinks into your website. And so search engine optimization, right, is basically how to get your site more visible in online searches. And we love this because it's free, right? Because when someone search, you're not paying for an ad this way. We also like it because the efforts you do now will work over time. So it's kind of like, you're making some healthy changes and your body is happy over time. You make some healthy changes online and your website is happy over time and people can find it. Now, if you're like me, you probably get at least, do you get your SEO is bad and we can do it for you? Do you get those kind of emails, Liz?
All the time.
Me too. I get them all the time. So I, as somebody who actually knows about this topic, gets them all the time. So just know they're emailing everybody. And what we want to do here at the SBDC always is give tools that you can use to actually evaluate things for yourself. So we're not going to get overly technical here. We'll give you some tools to see what your links are and all that and ways to improve it. But there's just a couple of sort of main things I want to touch on about building links into your website. So, and Liz, you can be the stand-in for the audience here. Let's pretend you have two identical websites, right? In terms of information, let's say, it's all about, I don't know, business book reviews or something. I don't know. I just looked at my shelf. All right. Business book reviews. All right. And one website has 5 links coming into it. And the other website has 500 links coming into it. Which one of those websites would you think Google thinks is a better website?
The 500 one. I'm going with the obvious answer.
Right. And the reason is what Google figures is that if multiple people are linking to something, it's got to be good, right? So what we want, most things, we want more, right? We always want more. But, and I put the but, some links are actually worth more. So for example, let's say that my friend who has a blog that, gets a few hundred hits a month links to my website. And then let's say Oprah links to my website. Guess which one is going to be maybe the link that is more important to me?
I think Oprah, I'm guessing Oprah is because that kind of a link is priceless. You can't even put a value on that. That's exactly how valuable it is.
Right. And so there's larger websites, whether it's like a newspaper website that has like a lot of history and a lot of information, or whether it's, a celebrity-ish website. But there are some websites that are sort of worth more, in terms of links. And, one of their links is worth 100, kind of meh links, which makes sense, right? This is all, and so, what we want, is we want diverse links. We want many different websites linking to us. And the text that is linked, which is called anchor text, and I'll show you an example in a second. We also want that text to be working for us. So if it says, best business advising, and links to the Sbdc, that's going to associate your Sbdc website. The cops aren't after me, I promise. They're just going by my house. I'm between the police station and the hospital, so it sounds a lot more exciting here in Canton than it is usually. But yeah, so what you want is, best small business advising linking to the Sbdc associates those words with you, if that makes sense. So a lot of people say, click here. Those words aren't going to work as hard for you as, an actual text. So if someone is looking for best small business advising, there was a link that was associated with that. And, and it's someone else saying it, not you. That's the idea of links coming into your website, right? It's sort of your reputation. This is a little bit of your online reputation, which we talked about earlier. So we want diverse links. We ideally want the links to say something that, helps us get further along, useful keywords. If you want to know what keywords are, you can watch last week's broadcast, right? But we also want our website, when people get to it, we don't want any things that are broken on our website, and we want it to lead to good places. And I'll give you an example. One of my clients, he had 30% of the traffic on his website was going to, and I forget what year was, 2015 fishing licenses, but it was way past 2015 at that point. And so rather than figure out, okay, where is this, did some like big, I don't know, fishing blogger link to his page, rather than trying to go and get it fixed there, we just said, okay, we're going to take this 2015 fishing license link that a bunch of people are getting to and just redirect them to general fishing license information so that they're not getting to a bad source. So not only do we want links coming into our website, but we want to make sure that our website is working good as well. So, so this is what we want. So I have a little protocol that we can go through here today. And Liz, you are the stand-in for everybody watching this who has not been doing this for 14 years like I have. So if I say something weird, please tell me, okay? And if you have questions,
trust me, I ask dumb questions better than almost
it's not even a dumb question. It's just that I sometimes get so into this stuff that I end up really geeking out.
Well, so this is technical, right? This is technical.
It is a little technical.
It's funny because people, marketing isn't all about sell the sizzle, right? There's a lot of work that goes on the scenes behind the sizzle itself. So,
well, what I tell people is I could be the best marketer in the whole world, but if I send them to your website and it doesn't work, then it's not worth anything.
Right.
So, so the first thing you want to do is find some kind of, and you can just open up Google or whatever your favorite search engine is and type in free backlink checker. Because people are like, which one do you recommend? I don't have one that I recommend. Here's one that I found today. Because, I really, as long as it's free and they're not, trying to get your email at every step to let you do this, I'm just using, this is Neil Patel's backlink checker. So what I did is I put in my domain name and I put in search, and it's giving me some overall stats here, and then it's giving me some additional information below. But let's talk about these overall stats, and you're going to get something like this no matter what backlink checker that you see. The first of all thing that it says is what your domain authority is. Now, there used to be something called Google PageRank, where Google ranked your website between a 1 and a 10. Google was a 10 out of 10. Amazon was a 9 out of 10. And for years, I have been stuck at a 3 out of 10 in the Google, in the Google rank, right? So for some reason, this website says it's out of 100, this domain authority, and says 38, which makes sense to me. Like I said, I've been stuck at 3 out of 10 for a while. So me being like a 3.8 kind of makes sense after years and years. So, so when I was talking about that link from your friend's blog versus Oprah.com, obviously Oprah's domain authority probably is going to be bigger than your friend's blog, unless your friend had some massive success right off at the beginning.
Right.
Good for them. The other thing that you'll see here, and again, this is all backlink checkers, this is not just this specific one, is something called referring domains. So these are all the different domains that are linking to you. So Facebook.com is a referring domain. Twitter.com is a referring domain. My friend's blog is a referring domain. So each separate .something, .com, .net, .whatever is a referring domain. So we want, as I mentioned earlier, we want a variety of domains. Because if we get 10,000 links, but it's all coming from one domain, that looks suspicious, right?
Right.
And then the actual backlinks is the number of links coming into my website. So 479 with 9,000 backlinks, that looks crazy. But when you think about social media marketing, and on this website, I have 1,500 pages, which include, because I blogged daily for a while, but now I blog twice a week. Mm-hmm. So I have about 1,500 blog posts plus about 50 or so pages. So I have probably 1,800 pages on my site now that I'm thinking about it. So yeah, so I have a lot of content. But the thing is, I will link to different things on Facebook. So it's counting Facebook as one referring domain, but it's creating multiple backlinks from social media, for example. So that's why there's that big number difference between the domains and the backlinks for me anyway. And I can do this. I guess I can do this 3 times for free on this particular tool. Again, this is why I don't regret. They usually try to like use these tools and then they're like, oh, we can help you. Right. So it's fine, but it just gives us some, okay, where are we starting from? That's what we want to establish. We want to see where we're starting from. And
Nicole, yeah. Can you just define, just real briefly again, backlink means what? Other websites that are linking to yours, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So for the SBDC or for your site, if you were linked to us, then we'd be one of your backlinks.
Exactly.
If I'm a retailer and I sell homemade candles and Nicole's candles, and you're I sell your products, I can backlink to you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And I can actively choose to backlink. Sometimes people link our stuff and we don't even know, right?
Exactly.
You're not always going to know.
Yeah,
okay.
Right. That's why we got to check, because sometimes you look into this and it's kind of surprising. So if I scroll down here, I get the actual list of links. So I blogged, for example, this is my top one from medium.com. There's a software called Page Cloud, which is supposed to automatically build you a website. And I reviewed it a while back. Well, I guess in 2019 is when it was first seen. But I think that the original people who developed the thing reposted it onto their Medium site. My review of their software. So you just never know. I didn't know that happened until I ran this backlink report, because I didn't know, right? And especially when you have, in my case, I have 9,000. I don't know, I try to keep on top of it, but sometimes I just can't. So, and then here's another really good one. I did a workshop with the Cornell Cooperative Extension, so they linked to my website as part of that workshop. So and you see here, it says Cornell Cooperative Extension. Their domain, they're a 93. They're really good because they're a .edu, right? Because they're with Cornell.
Right.
And the text that's linked says breaking even communications. That's what's called the anchor text. So it shows me here. Yeah. So this is a blog and it just says Nicole. And that is the word Nicole is linked to my website. Download the presentation here. I guess I did a presentation. Okay. Anyway, so I'm seeing some stuff on here that I'm like, that's interesting. And likely if you do this, you will also find some interesting things you are not expecting. Now, I'm noting here, because I'm going to go back and check this. If you're going to make a concerted effort, I thought the number just moved for a second, but I think my brain I was like, did it just change while we were watching?
It's real time, right?
I was like, okay, I did not expect that. But what we want to do, especially if you're going to work on your site, like let's say you're like, okay, over the next 6 months, we're going to work on our site. We want to just see where we're starting from. So you can take a screenshot of this. You can note it somewhere because, we'll want to kind of see, how we're doing later on. The third thing, though, that I actually want to check, which is kind of interesting, is so these are all the backlinks going into my website. That does not mean they are sending traffic to my website. It means they are linking back. It does not mean people are clicking on them. And so what you can do with whatever tool that you use, in my case, I use Google Analytics, but you might use something else. A lot of website software comes with its own stats. I'm just going under referring links and I'm seeing, oh, here's the example of the Cornell Cooperative Extension. 4 people clicked on a link from their website in the past 6 months to my website. So a lot of these, by the way, some of these are like spam. Some of these are spam, but the budgetmom.com, 2 people. I have no idea what the Budget Mom has linked to, but I might want to go check what that is. So point being is that just because I have 9,000 links coming into my website does not mean that they are all driving traffic. And so what I want to establish is, okay, what links do I have? And then what links are actually people clicking on to go to my website? It's usually a relatively small number compared to the total number.
Right, of active, right.
Exactly.
You have onesie, twosies, and then you have the real drivers. Now, let me ask you a question, Nicole. Is there a way to get more?
Oh, we're getting to that.
Okay,
we're getting to that. Yeah. So this is our first thing. Now, usually when people do this, they look and they say, oh, but I thought I had a paid link with the Chamber of Commerce. And so then they find out they needed to actually go fill in their profile to like get their link. Or they're like, oh, I'm part of this association. Or, oh, I carry, like one of my clients carries this specific kind of product that only 2 people in the state carry. And she noticed that she wasn't on their directory of people who are selling their products. So she just emailed them and said, hey, how do I get on here? Usually it's typically an oversight by someone like me. You just need to email and say, hey, where's that backlink? Especially if you feel like you've been paying for it or otherwise understood that, that was part of something you were getting. Another thing that ends up happening is people said, hey, wait a minute, I paid $350 to be part of this directory. And it's not sending me any traffic. So I had a client who was a bed and breakfast, and they were in this like exclusive bed and breakfast thing that they paid for every year, part of which was a link from this website. And I pulled their report and I said, you got 2 website visitors from this for the whole year, and they all stayed on your website less than 60 seconds. So I'm not sure if they booked or not because the booking software didn't track them, but is that worth $600 a year to you? That's up to you. So, you might find that you're paying for some listings that aren't really getting you anything when you do this kind of search. And the thing is, don't feel bad about it. Like you weren't going to know until you tried it.
Right.
Just don't renew it. That's all.
Right. That's why these analytics are so important.
Yeah.
They're tools that can help you decide how you spend your marketing dollars.
Yeah, they really can. So like I said, there are some cases in which you're on a paid directory, or you're part of a membership organization, or you're a distributor for a product, which the understanding is whether you actually pay for it or not, that you're supposed to get a link from these websites. So just follow up on those. Like I said, oftentimes it's just someone forgot to click a couple of buttons. Like I said, I manage websites. I get it. So just go ahead and reach out to those. And then, look at what's currently kind of working for you and do more of that. So in my case, I see that the Cornell Cooperative Extension gave me a really nice backlink and, also seems to be driving me some traffic, and something that so I looked into it and I found out that they actually have a blog that I can guest post on. So I looked and I was like, oh, you have a blog. So I can contact, Lauren and say, hey, like, I really appreciate, can I write a guest post for your blog? Right. So I'm looking into who's already a good referral and thinking like, okay, how else can I get maybe a little bit more from this?
Right.
And so that might be, so you might look into it and say, oh, wow, it seems like a lot of these kinds of websites are linking to me. Maybe I should, do something or follow up,
or it might be a cue for you to do more blogging. Like if people like your blogs, or if people like the candles that you make or what have you, then yeah, there's do more what people want.
Right. And the thing with blogs and the reason they do well in search engines is that it's all these separate pieces of content that are specific, right? You're talking about something usually very specific, just like we do in these broadcasts. And that gives, people an opportunity to link to you. So like if I just had everything on just one long scrolling page on my website, but you just wanted to share that one video I did about, keywords with you guys last, it would be, you're going to be like, oh yeah, you're going to go to this page and you're going to scroll for like 5 minutes and then you're going to find, most people, you're going to link directly to it and they're like, this is the thing, this is the video that I want you to see. So a blog just gives you different kinds of content that can be kind of put out there. So, so do more of that. Now, the other thing that you can do and you'll notice I did not, like, one of my talking points here does not suggest starting a blog. If you want to, if this is like your push to do it, go ahead. But I'm trying to understand that most people are not, you're not marketing your business necessarily full time. You have to run it. So I'm trying to think of ways that I feel like you'll get some bang for your buck. So one thing you can do is claim your business in every possible free directory that you can. So my story with this is that living in a small town, and I think I told this to poor Erica last, when you go into a meeting and you think it's going to be about something or training, and within 5 minutes you're like, oh no, this is not a good use of my time, but then you feel bad leaving. So then you just sit there. So this happened to me a few years ago. I was just opening the first anchor space and I thought, okay, I have to sit here because I live in a small town. And if I leave right now, it's going to look super rude. So I sat there and I signed up for every co-working space directory that I can. Co-work Hers, Liquid Space. I think Co-work Hers is a female run co-working space directory. The co-working visa program. I signed up for everything that would give me a link that would list my co-working space. And I did about like 10 or 15 of them. And then I proceeded to never think about it again. And we actually did get some customers from them, which was hilarious. I was mostly doing it to get the link into my website.
Right.
But I did get a couple of customers off of Liquid Space before. So, and definitely someone from coworker.com. So a lot of, and you don't have to run a co-working space to take advantage of this. There might be a directory of, contractors, or there might be directories of, you name it, someone has probably tried to make a directory for it. So, right. But like I said, you don't need to pay for listings. There's usually a free listing. Take the free one. And usually with the free one, you can put your name, maybe your general location, and a link back to your website. That's usually the bare minimum that they give you. And then they say, oh, well, you can buy this supplemental one and we'll include all your social media links and we'll include all these things. You don't have to pay for it. Just saying, take advantage of all the places that you can list yourself. And that's really going to help.
And make sure that your website looks awesome so that when they get there, they don't stay for 2 seconds and say, oh, forget it.
Yeah, totally. That goes without saying. Now, another thing that people do, and I recommend doing this sparingly because some people do it a lot and it's kind of annoying, but you can interact with other people's blogs in a way. So for example, like, a lot of companies or have blogs. So I'm trying to think of different kinds of business examples so that I can use different examples. So like if you have a law practice and right. You're reading, a blog about lawyers and you want to leave a comment, oh, have you ever considered this or whatever? The nice post, bro, is really, not the most, but like if you leave an intelligent comment, and I do this on YouTube sometimes, I will leave comments on other people's channels that I think are like insightful or whatever, and then I'll notice I'll notice a couple of people come and subscribe. And I don't think it's I think it must be from the comment. They must have looked at it and thought, oh, this person's kind of funny or whatever. I'm going to follow them.
Well, if you read an article or a blog post that is either really good or really bad, I do often look at the comments because I want to know, or if I think, what? They're totally wrong or they're so on point, they've been in my brain. You want affirmation and confirmation. So yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So you can leave comments as a way to kind of be visible to these people that you follow. And after you've left comments a few times, I mean, I don't get a lot of comments. So whenever people do leave comments, I notice, and then when they reach out to me, suddenly it's like a much warmer relationship. So, but the other thing you can do too, is that most people who regularly blog, they want to take some time off, or they want to, whatever. And so, but they want to keep their publication schedule. So they offer usually guest posting opportunities. That's where you go and you write something and it gets posted on their website. But typically you get a little byline on the top where you can you get 2 or 3 sentences to say, hey, Nicole is our guest author for the day. She's blah, blah, blah. And then a link back to the website. And then you write them some kind of article. So you're getting in front of their audience. They're getting to take a day off from their publication schedule and get some good content for their audience in the meantime. And you get a free backlink to your website. Now, you don't have time to do this all the time. So maybe you say, you know what, I'm going to try to do this like once a month.
Right.
I'm going to,
be realistic.
Exactly. And that's the thing is like, I didn't wake up to 9,000 inbound links. Like I started with like none. And I will say at a certain point, they sort of, you work really hard to get like maybe the first 100 or whatever. And then you'll work equally hard to get, but at a certain point, you're going to be putting in the same effort and getting way more from it. But at first it takes some time. So, whenever I see these, oh yeah, we have a link building strategy for you. I'm like, without talking to me, you've come up with a whole link building strategy.
Right.
Because it really depends on like what your business is and all kinds of things, really.
If it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah, and it just means that they're applying the exact same thing that they do for you to everybody else. And how well can that work, really?
Yeah. One size does not fit all.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not. Not in the digital world, that's for sure.
But usually with guest posts, I mean, you can use a blog directory and you can find blogs in your field. Or maybe if you have a local business, like I know we haven't figured out a way to outsource haircuts yet, but you might want to connect with a local business person who has a blog or something that they publish regularly and say, oh, hey, I'd really like to talk about, this. I'd really like to talk about this local event. Oh yeah, like you can totally post that on my blog. And yeah, you can mention you own hairdressing salon blog,
Right.
at the top and link back to it. So you're just slowly increasing your visibility, not only by, getting links to these, directories or something, but also by connecting with real people. So I think having both of those things in your strategy is good. And another thing you could do if you felt a little bit more proactive, and this is something I did for a client. They were an economic development, business. God, what were they? They kind of invested in a certain geographic area for like building, new office complexes and things like that. They did a lot of building projects and they were investors. And so I said, it's really interesting because when I look at your area, I don't see a list of all the co-working spaces, a list of all the business resources like the Sbdc, whatever. I said, would you consider putting that on your website and then just reaching out to everyone and saying, hey, co-working space, hey, local Sbdc, we created this resource, and you guys are listed on it. Just here's the link. Just wanted to make sure we had your information right. If you have anything else to add, let us know. But like, if you also want to share it, like this might be helpful. And by being the person who's kind of gathered everything together and reaching out and telling these people that you did that are all a part of it, well, then suddenly they're all sharing your thing and you're getting a ton of links coming in. But you are doing a bit of work ahead of time, hoping that will happen. But
right.
if you do a good enough thing that doesn't already exist yet, there's no reason why. And by the way, we call this in the business, we call it a lead magnet. So typically, if somebody has put something together, maybe it's a training, maybe it's some kind of resource, and you're using it to get new leads. Typically you collect people's email address to get it. But in this case, I would just make it publicly visible.
Right.
Hey, we linked your co-working space. I'm trying to think of the other groups of people we wanted to involve. I'm like, oh, we should, there's the downtown organizations because there was multiple ones in the area. There's the chambers, there was just not one comprehensive resource of like, I'm interested in business development in this area. Like, who else is involved and where can I find them? Nobody had done that. And I thought it would really, it would take some effort to, obviously, this is not a 2-hour project, but if you've gone ahead and pulled together like 100 different groups and even half of them link back to you, well, that's pretty good.
Right. It is. It sure is. And it's also, and in addition to being good for business, it's community building. And, where we are in the North Country, nobody's building a huge, nobody's driving a fleet of Teslas up here to build, a corporate headquarters. We got to do it on our own. So really think about if this might be your strategy, who you can include and cast the net wide. It doesn't have to be a narrow net. And think about how you can use that effectively for your business and to build the business community in your area.
Right, because, so like for me, for example, we have a meeting, our co-working space is a meeting room, but if it's like 8 people, it is in my best interest to have a collection of resources of places that people can meet, how many people they hold, if they have high-speed internet or not. Like it makes sense for me to do that. And then to email all these people and say, hey, like we're pulling together a list of local resources. I want to make sure, and so that's links coming into my website. That's people who maybe are not the right fit for me still being served by being sent somewhere else. And that's those people saying, oh wow, they took the time to do this. When I do have a meeting with a couple of people, I'm going to go back to anchor space.
Right.
I mean, maybe they say that, maybe they don't. Again, we don't just necessarily do things to like get things directly. Not all relationships are transactional, but I will say being the kind of person who organizes information that no one else has taken the time to organize typically means you can get a link back to your website from the people who are involved.
And another example might be, say I'm a wedding planner and I want to link photographers, caterers, florists, people I've worked with before. Use your imagination. Or even if I'm a wedding photographer, right? If I take pictures at a wedding and I see this incredible floral display, who did the flowers? I want to know, because I want to say, ooh, we were at a wedding this weekend of Mork and Mindy, and we I'm dating myself, I know, and we look at the incredible flowers from Nicole Willette's Flower Farm, and you don't even need to call Nicole. It's probably good to, but if you're saying something positive, you don't have to let people know. But there's a lot of ways to organically build these things, and organically yet systematically, right? It's both.
Yeah, for sure. You need to give something, especially if your website doesn't have a lot of, like I said, I have 1,500 blog posts. There's something that you might want to link to of that list. If your website only has 5 or 6 pages, there's not a lot of opportunities there. So if you create something that just has a lot of value, like Liz saying, you're pulling together your favorite, wedding resources locally, those people are going to appreciate the business and also maybe, want to work with you as well. So
and do the same thing for you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, all these things are, again, it's so funny because people are like, well, can I get backlinks fast? And I was like, I mean, you can. The problem is if Google thinks that, so one of my friends had a personal finance blog and she got blacklisted on Google for 6 months because they thought she was selling links on her website. She wasn't, but Google thought she was. So you could type in her address directly into, you could get to her website. If you tried to search it in Google, it just wasn't coming up. And she was making thousands of dollars a month off of advertisements based on people being able to get to her site. Right. So what you don't want to do, obviously, is do anything that, and if you do start to build links, and I don't know what I mean, it was a genuine misunderstanding, obviously, and she eventually did get listed back on Google, but you want to organically grow these. And if you are sort of paying for an enhanced listing or something, that's clear to Google that's happening. But if you're doing some shady, I think the old term for it was called link farming. I won't. When like it was like this weird like pyramid scheme, but it was with links. Like Google doesn't like it when you try to be tricky. So rather than trying to trick literally thousands of very smart programmers who are constantly improving the algorithm, just take the time to do it right, and you're not going to regret it. And then, something else that you can do is, I mentioned the fishing license problem.
Right.
If you want to, you can fix, and find broken links on your own website or redirect them. So within Google Analytics, and I can pull this up in a second if we have time, but you can look at exit pages and see people, like which pages do people get to and just immediately leave your site. Maybe there's like a problematic page or something, and you can redirect them. So it's not 2015 fishing licenses anymore. It's just, 2020, it can be a simple redirect.
Right.
But there is,
right.
Yeah. But, I get it. Like, you changed your page from about to about us, and you didn't realize that the link changed. And suddenly that broke, the 4 or 5 links on your website that were linking back to your about page. It's good for you to know that it happens so that you can just fix it, because once people get to your website, you want them to be able to effortlessly click and not get, broken messages. And
that's the worst. Right. You see that, and then the person is gone. They're not even going to look again. They're just gone. You've lost the sale.
So there are these free broken link checkers that will index your site, and it'll tell you what page the broken link is on and what the actual broken link is, so that you can go and fix it. And again, a lot of times it's a very innocent mistake, like you change something from about to about us, or something like that, and it just changed the link and you didn't notice it. So just make sure that you don't have anything broken, so that when people link to anything on your site, you can confidently say that it's going to work.
Right.
I'm not saying you have to do this super often. You can do it every couple of years, maybe. You can also put, I know WordPress has a little plugin that will alert you when it finds a backlink, so that you can fix it. So if you want to just turn something like that on, that's fine too. And I will say that, for those of you who are like, oh, I don't want to blog or whatever, yes, you can pull together a list of the best wedding resources in Watertown, New York, and tell everyone and get them to link to it. But the other thing you can do for your own products and services is, I will say, Pinterest pins and Google product listings. You make them once and they will drive traffic for years to come. I have an e-commerce website that I was gung-ho about when I started it 5 years ago. I made a pin for every product on that site. And every blog post I wrote on that website, and this thing is still getting traffic from Pinterest every single month, and I haven't touched it in years. And then the other thing, if you just want to get a Google listing, and I just wanted to pull up an example here, because I know we talked about the Google business listing broadcast is, I think, one of the more popular ones we've had. If you scroll down in the Google business listing section that you're doing, you can add products, and you can put their pricing, and you can put some information.
Right.
And when people learn more, they are redirected to the page on the website that talks about that. And I will say that these products get views every single month. I put them in once. So think about places online. I would say those two are my favorite. There might be others that I just didn't think of in time for the broadcast, but those are the two that I really like. And obviously doing social media marketing helps with this too, because you're sharing stuff on Facebook and other people share it too. Like, yes, it's all on Facebook.com, but it's coming from different places on Facebook.com. So,
right.
But again, I understand you don't have time to market all day. Throw up a few Pinterest pins, throw up some Google product listings.
Right.
You just do it that one time.
And Pinterest, I really want to point out, Pinterest is not just for home decor anymore.
No.
It's like, if you're a landscaper, if you're a dog groomer, if you're a boat dealer, and it always amazes me when I'm searching for something, how good at SEO Pinterest is, because they are always at the top. It's always, and my husband gets frustrated because he doesn't have a Pinterest page. Because because it used to be young women. That's what it was conceived for. But not anymore. You can, I was looking on there about painting the deck of a boat and looking at before and afters and how they did it, and so don't discount that. And the other one is YouTube channels, how-to videos. That's another way. If you, again, this is my husband, he likes to tinker with motors and stuff, so he's always looking. Some of the guys that are on there, and they're mostly all men dealing with motors, have a great shtick going. And if you're someone who really is comfortable, that's another way to drive business. So
yeah, and then if in the description of your video, or you put in oh, to learn more, or to hire me, visit this or whatever. So I'm sure if your husband is doing a search about boats and there is a local person who has a video about what they're looking for, they're theoretically more likely to come up, because Google and other search engines, especially if you're using a cell phone, you got your location services turned on, they're trying to give you information that's pertinent to you. And usually
And,
that's near you,
right.
oftentimes.
Right. Yeah. A boat, someone who can paint the deck of a boat in California doesn't really help me. So,
Right.
yeah. So
Yeah.
these are all great things to think about.
Yeah, for sure. And I just came up with, it's one of those things where I was like thinking, okay, well, how would I, advise different kinds of businesses or groups to do, so I came up with 2 sample strategies.
Oh, nice.
One, I pretended I was a yarn store and I had both a physical and an e-commerce location. And so the first thing I would do is I would start looking at knitting blogs, and then maybe I would leave some comments for a little while. And then, once they saw that I wasn't a completely sketchy person, maybe I'd offer, hey, like if you ever need a guest post, like I would love to, whatever, you know. There's also a whole social network called Ravelry just for knitting and crocheting. And it's not as visited as Facebook, but everyone on there has a list of projects they want to work on and things like that. So maybe I would want to offer like one of my patterns for free or something and link it back to my website. And then since I have a physical store in a town, I'd also probably want some kind of listings or involvement with local community-based websites, because I do want people to physically walk into my theoretical yarn store.
Right.
So, so my link strategy for this kind of business would look different, and, I did talk about this economic development. They weren't a nonprofit, they were a for-profit thing, but pretending you're an economic development nonprofit, maybe that list of resources that I was talking about of the different kinds of things, because I know when I first moved here, the Sbdc was so valuable to me because I didn't know how to navigate New York State anything. So, so having, and if you're a for-profit company, there's no reason why you can't be gathering this information, because the Sbdc, I mean, they're advising people for free. They're doing these free programs. They don't necessarily have time to do this. So there's nothing wrong with you pulling it together and saying, hey, at the Sbdc, if you guys need this, I pulled this together. I'm going to update it every 6 months. Like, just let me know. And then you having a blog about what's going on in the community, because a lot of people, maybe they have interest in your community, but they aren't physically there. So you could say, oh, they finally broke ground at the, at the fireman station. And yeah, exactly. And, they're going to start doing, the parks are opening, in the spring, and they're going to start having the farmers markets in mid-April, or like, you could be kind of the person convening that information. Maybe it's, you follow a bunch of local Facebook pages and you just know this stuff, but somehow you combine it together in some and put it on a website that's a little bit more searchable versus me having to comb through 10 Facebook pages to find the same information.
Right.
So, there's lots of ways that, like I said, so my link building strategy in this case is different than the yarn one, which would be different than everybody's. And the reality is that it's going to take you time to find what works for you, in terms of building your links. And, even you just caring about them and understanding that, oh, I can check this and it can improve over time.
Right.
That's going to be super valuable. Yeah.
Right. Look and see what's there. And if you don't understand why some are there, and if there aren't any there, then you know what you need to do. It's building blocks. It's you don't start up here. Nobody starts with 1 million followers, and nobody goes viral unless they have the right tools.
Right. So. Yeah. And, and over time, as long as the number of links is getting higher, you're gonna be getting in front of more and more people. And then, let's say, you're ready to retire and sell the business. Part of what's valuable is you've built this website with incoming traffic, right?
Goodwill has a price tag in that case. Yes.
Yeah. And obviously if if the domain, and the website is part of your assets, even if they're like, oh, well, we're going to absorb this under our company name, they can still be redirecting all that valuable traffic you've been building. So this asset, while intangible, is valuable over time as you build it. Right. And so thinking about, what links do you want to get? How are you going to build those relationships? What is on your website is worth linking to? These are all good questions.
Yeah, right. Who, what, where, when, how, and why? Why would they match? It's everything comes back to that.
It really does.
It really does.
Right. So next time you get an email from an SEO guru saying that they have a link building strategy for you, you can tell them that you're all set because you
Right.
watched this live stream and you have your own link building strategy,
That's
or
right.
at least some ideas of where to start.
Where to start, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and that's why give us a call if you have watch this again. Look up the free broken link checker and the free backlink checker. See what the it's kind of like looking at your credit report. You might not want to look at it, but you really should. So see what's out there and then plan your strategy. And if you need help planning that strategy, give us a call and give your local SBDC a call.
Yep. Yeah, so we'll keep the email address on the screen. Liz, is there anything else you want to say before we close out? Because that's pretty much all I have to say about backlinks.
I think that I just want to say you chose a very ambitious topic for the first day after daylight savings because this is like the third meeting I've been in, and everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, man, it's a kicker." So and then what are we talking about next week?
We are talking about, that's a really good question. We are talking, I think, about on-page SEO strategies. So on-page just means that on your website. Okay. It's so funny because people get really hung up on what they can do on their website. And the reality is your website versus the rest of the internet, like the rest of the internet is a lot bigger. Right. So, which is why things like backlinks are important. But there are things that, when people talk about improving your website, there are things like making sure that the page loads fast, making sure it's mobile friendly. Like there's all these little kind of functional things that I feel like people would like to know. So we're calling this on-page SEO strategies.
Nice.
I'll see if I can think of a better name when I post the actual reminder of the broadcast, so it sounds less nerdy. But yeah,
we're under the hood. Right.
Stuff you can do on your own website to improve search engine stuff.
We're under the hood doing our own tinkering this month. That's just the way it is, right?
Yep, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that. And this way you can sort of independently verify what these SEO people are telling you. I know they email me and they say, "Oh, this link is whatever. Your site is not as mobile friendly as it could be." Well, we're going to give you some tools to actually independently verify for yourself whether what they're saying is true, which I think is important.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
and honestly, half the time, Liz, what I want to do is write back and say, I want you to give me 3 specific strategies you would do on my website to improve things.
Go.
And then just wait for like 1,000 years for them to never email me.
Yeah. You'd grow old and die before that would happen.
Yeah.
Right?
But I don't.
They want to sell you what they have. And they want you to fit into their box that they want to sell you. And what we're trying to help you do is figure out what should be in my own box. And then you know what? You might get to the point where you have the business where you can engage, hopefully, a local professional who can help you take it to the next step. But we're here to get you started.
Absolutely. And like I said, there's a lot you can do yourself. And a lot of it, hopefully, that you saw, especially toward the beginning of this broadcast, is some common sense.
Right.
And just
you don't have to be a programmer. No programming. No zeros and ones. No.
No, just take some time and effort. And yeah, so we hope you tune in next time. And if you missed the keyword broadcast last week, it's the same place you're watching this. So whether it's in a playlist or just scrolling back a little bit in time. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Liz, thanks for being an awesome co-host. It was fun.
Oh, thanks for taking the lead because we'd still be on, what is it, a broken link? If I was in charge.
We all have our wheelhouses. There's nothing wrong with that.
And everybody, if you have ideas for future Marketing Mondays, either a one-off or a big topic, send us an email, sbdc@sunyjefferson.edu.
Yep, we're always looking for topic ideas.
We always are. And because we want to talk about what interests you.
Yes, we really do. All right, thanks, Liz, and thanks everyone.
Have a great week, everybody. Bye.
Take care.